Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is you're going to get your wire cutters out, and they're probably wrapped up in your little case, this little case, and wrapped up, and they're a little tricky to get undone, so hopefully you can get those undone and then you'll go on with this. This is the clay, this is your slab of clay. Now, eventually I'm gonna be showing you how to wedge, which is so key. You never want air bubbles in the clay, and you get those out by wedging. This is a brand new block of clay, so there's no air pockets in it. But as you get chunks of clay like this, like, oh, I made an arm, I don't like it, I'm gonna put it here. If you can see in here, these are like little air pockets now. So that's when you're gonna need to wedge, and I will show you a whole thing on that because air bubbles in your clay will blow up in the kiln, and that's not good. So we're gonna do wedging later, but for today, I'm taking it right off this nice smooth block so there's no air bubbles. Okay, so this is the other question people always say, how much should I cut off?
How much should I cut off?
Well, I'm gonna just make a small little pinch pot for a demonstration, but if you're making yours and you want it about this big, I'd go, you can always take a little bit off, I'd go about maybe 1.5 inches down. But I'm just making a little pinch pot today to start off with. So you put your wire like this, and this is kind of fun. It just goes weep. Yay! There's your clay. So I'm gonna cut this in half. Again, see how easy that is? Ooh, it's so fun. Okay, now you have this chunk, and again, I don't want to, if I folded it over, I would get air bubbles. So you're gonna wanna start
by pushing this in and making a round
ball. And take your time. Again, I'm making a small one, and you're gonna wanna take your time with all of this. I'm just doing
this kind of quickly. So I kind of pat it with the palm of my hand like this. And I'll probably fast forward this just so I can get the little ball made. Now, I'm not gonna make anything exact with this, but I'm gonna show you things you wanna do and things you don't wanna do. So get this as round as you can.
And again, you're gonna perfect this. You're gonna take your thumb and smooth it. Okay, now you're gonna take your thumb and you're gonna put it right in the middle, like little Jack Horner, he stuck in his thumb and pulled out a plum. You're gonna put your thumb right down in the middle. Don't go too far down. Then you're gonna take your hand like a little duck, and you're going to push around with all these, and in the inside I'm pushing with my thumb, and I'm going around and around and around. Now, you don't want to go down you want to keep all of these edges about 1/2 inch thick. Don't get too thin. I'll show you what you don't want. Let's say this is a little ball of clay, and I start pinching around, and I get it fat here, and I get it skinny there. See that? That's bad. You don't want that. You also don't want to go, oh, my thumb just went through. So you just want to take your time and go around. Duck, 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 okay? And then keep this, the mouth of this, the same thickness. Don't go too quick. And then at the bottom, I kind of scoop my thumb to bring the sides up. And then I kind of cup it here. It's gonna take a little bit of practice, but you really wanna make sure you don't get little weird pinches and this is too thin. It'll break, it'll crack, and we're also, if you're gonna make the body of something, you're gonna put these two together, and if it's too thin, it's not gonna work. So I'm gonna go around. Now, if I was in class, I would be telling you, if you're making a round, let's say I'm making this little round body of the, what is that? Panda bear. This would be the round body. This would be another little pinch pot for his head. So if I'm making a round body, you're gonna wanna make this in the shape of a cereal bowl, okay? So I'm gonna make this, and if I'm gonna show you, you guys can watch another video that shows where they cut it in half, And then you could see you want to keep this thickness the same thickness. Every now and then maybe tap it and check to make sure this is staying the same thickness, okay? Can you see it? Mm-hmm. Okay, again, don't get this too thick. I'm taking my thumb and just kind of pulling this up, okay? And cupping this out here. Just take your time and really enjoy doing this. You just have to kind of go, ooh, this clay feels kind of fun. And it's just kind of relaxing. And you pull the clay up and then you kind of feel it with your little duck hand and you make sure it's all the same thickness. And then you smooth that edge. Then you smooth this and again, tap. And then you got this nice little pinch pot. Now, if I want, again, make sure this is not too thick, okay, at the bottom, but not too thin. And again, don't get this too thin. None of this, okay? If I was going to make, let's see if I have a picture. No, I don't have a picture. If I was gonna make a little bowl, like some of you may wanna make a little bowl, you are really gonna have to make this perfect, okay? If I'm gonna combine two together, this doesn't have to be so perfect. But if this is your main piece, all of this has to be exactly the same thickness. So you would wanna really work at that, work at this, and then maybe you're gonna want, and again, this is not, I'm not doing this super good, but I think some may wanted to put a few little legs, and I'll show you how to do that. But for now, I'm gonna show you how we're gonna make, usually you make 2 balls about the same size, and we can fast forward this just so I can make another. Another little ball. And again, you put your thumb down the middle like this, and the duck goes around, okay? Sometimes if yours is bigger, you can actually kind of pinch it with both hands if you're gonna make a bigger one. If it cracks like this, sometimes it does, just smooth this over. And some people have warmer, hotter hands than others. If it's cracking too much, you could take a little bit of your slurry, not much. Don't ever, some people are like, whoa, and then it gets way too soggy and smushy and it won't work. But you could just put a little bit on there and smooth that. So if it's cracking too much, you're gonna wanna do that. So again, I'm just doing this kind of quick and not making it like super amazing. And you could tell I did it a little too quick because look, I got a little not very good with my edges because I was hurrying. So try not to hurry. And try just to take your time. And again, if it's gonna be a ball, you want it to be like a cereal bowl that goes up like this, okay? Sometimes people get this thing way too flat and it's not the right shape. So cereal bowl, think a little bowl that goes down like this. This is how you're gonna make a little round guy. Okay, sometimes if it gets too bent out, you can cup it in. Okay, then I'm gonna measure this. I'm gonna go, oh, that doesn't match. So I'm gonna have to bring this out. And again, don't get those edges too skinny. You wanna keep them nice and the same. Okay, and then I'm gonna measure again. Nope, it's not quite, it's almost. Okay. Then I'm gonna measure once more. And again, you're gonna wanna take your time and do this. Now you can kind of see how it matches. Now, this is what you have to do all the time. This is scoring and slurrying. This is your best friend. It won't stick together. It'll do bad things. So I'm going to take my scoring rib. This is the one that has all the little jaggedies on it. And I'm going to go right, see, that's why you want to keep this thick, not too thick, about 1/2 inch. And I'm gonna go around, see those little lines? And then I'm gonna go this way, so it kind of makes X's. And then I'm I'm gonna do the same thing on this guy. Around and X's. And I really hope that you guys just enjoy this. Don't be like, wow, I have to hurry. It's like, oh gosh, this is so nice. Better than doing my other, I was gonna say a subject, but I don't want to. Now, I always use my finger, but some people are like, I don't wanna get that stuff in my hand. You probably don't talk like that. But so, I'm gonna put it on with a paintbrush. You could, usually I just get a glob. I don't know if you could see this. Usually I just get a glob and you dab this on. The dabbing is important. You don't want to rub this, because if you rub it, now I've gotten rid of all, these are like little grooves that are gonna fit together, like they fit together. If I put this slurry on and I rub, I've now gotten rid of all my grooves. So you wanna dab this in and fill up all those. And you wanna fill them up. You don't wanna leave a little bit of the grooves. You're gonna fill this up. Not too much and not too little, just right. Dab, dab. If you wanted to use a paintbrush, you could, and you just do the same thing. Dab. I didn't put a paintbrush in there because I don't ever use a paintbrush, but like I said, some do. Okay, now I have slurry on both sides, and I'm gonna put these together, and I'm gonna, see that crack? You don't want that crack there, so I'm gonna push these together. So you push this together nice and snug. Again, we never want air pockets in there. So if you wanna just gently smush it. Okay, now you could do this two ways. You got this little tool right here. You could just go around and smooth this together. Okay. And it's kind of slimy and weird, but that's where you say, ooh, I'm like a little kid playing with mud when I was little. So you're gonna go around and smooth this out. Now again, I'm not gonna take all the time to do it, and if I could fast forward it and you'd see an amazing thing, because it would be so amazing, but it'd take forever. Okay, now, this is the next thing that's super, super important. I have this little seam right here. You don't want this to fall apart or break apart if there's any weakness in there. So, super important. This is where you take a little piece of clay, and I say you make a little, aren't we so messy? You make a little coil. This is so important too, okay? It doesn't have to be completely even, just a little coil. Again, not perfect. This one's not like where you make the inside of the pinch pot. Okay, then again, because every time you add something, every time you score on slurry. So I'm gonna say that little line, boy, I kind of made it go away really good. I'm gonna go around where that little line was, and I'm gonna score. And it makes a nice little sound. Score, score, score. Okay, now I'm also going to score on my little wormy snake. And I'm gonna go both ways, and then again, just a little slurry. Don't get too much because it's gonna make it too soft and smushy. So I'm just gonna put my little bit of slurry all around that, and I'm gonna put my little slurry right where I scored on my little snake. And again, don't rub it too much, but pat that in there. Then I'm gonna take it right where I put that, and I'm going to put this around, and I'm gonna gently push this in. Okay, all the way around where that little seam was. Okay, and the thing that we keep doing with the clay is, now that's kind of, ew, that's ugly. Okay, now you just get to press it in. And if it's not pressing, you want to press it into that crease. Okay, go around and press, press. If it doesn't press in all the way, that's when you can take this little guy, again, this little wooden guy, if you want to just kind of scrape this together. scrape this together. Just, you want to get rid of that seam so nobody's going to see it. You're probably thinking, that is an ugly ball. Okay. And just keep going around. Again, this is going to take you we're going to be doing this for at least 3 weeks. So I'm doing it in like 20 minutes. So know that you're going to really smooth this nicely. Okay. Now, I didn't put this in your kit, but and hopefully your mom will let you use it. If you don't, it's not a big deal. You can just smooth more with your hand. See how I'm just smoothing this with my hand and my thumb? Don't put slurry on it. It's going to get too soft. You might think, oh, I need to smooth it. No, just smooth this with your thumb. Okay? Now, this is a better way if you have a wooden spoon. I haven't really tried one of these, but I think this might work as well. And when we're in class, everybody has these, and it makes everybody laugh because it sounds funny. But you just gently start patting. And I don't know if you can see, but this makes it get smoother. And you could use one of these too. I think this guy might work too. That guy? Okay. So you just go around. I like the wooden paddle for some reason. If your clay, if it's sticking too much to your spoon, let this dry just a bit. And you could go around, and I don't know if you could see. Again, it's all just take your time. If you try to rush it, it might get, you'll hit it too hard because I'm just in a hurry. But you just want to gently tap this. Okay, and again, if it's too sticky, let it dry just a little bit. Okay, now, if I was doing, I could do the penguin. Let's say I'm doing this little penguin, okay? You could shape this. You could start shaping this. You just want to be gentle with it. So if I was making the little bear, I wanted a round ball. But if I'm making a tall penguin or maybe a fish, this is when, again, gently. And again, you can pat it. But you see how now I'm making it more into, I'm bringing it up. And gently bring that up, okay? If you're making like a figure, you could put two, this is another way. I'm just gonna show you this real quick. I'm showing you too many things at once, but this is another way. Let's say you're making a tall person. So you're gonna make your clay. I'm making a little baby guy. You're gonna take your guy like this, and again, smooth, smooth, smooth. You could cut, this is solid, you could cut this in half. And I'm gonna do this now. These are like perfectly in half. They're gonna go together nicely. Like I didn't have to make two balls. You could do this with one. And then I'm going to duck pinch, duck pinch, duck pinch. Make that fatter, stick my finger in here. Go around. And again, keep those walls the same size, the same thickness. And score and slurry these together, okay? That's if you want to make something longer and skinnier. I really kind of, now see the air in there. I really like, you could also do this if you had your, I didn't do it with this, but this is another way. I hope I'm not losing him. Okay, this is another way. You saw how you made two balls and put them together. This is make one ball, make it nice and smooth. Slice that in half. See, now I don't have to match them because they're pretty much the same. If you make two balls, sometimes it's hard to get them the exact same size. This just did it in half, and now I just do this around like this, okay? And then I just do the same thing. You put your finger down, and you just go around. Again, don't get this too thin. Just take your time, kind of pull your thumb up like this. Okay. So here's another thing. So let's say now I made a ball and I made these two pieces like this. Then you score. and you slurry. Ooh, I'm not gonna do all the details because mostly I wanna show you. And then you put your little coil around there. But somebody might be like, I wanna make a big square monster, okay? Again, I got my little ball now. And what I'm gonna do to make a square is I'm gonna gently pat. Now, see, I didn't put my little coil, so it's cracking. So you're gonna wanna put the coil on there. I just wanted to show you how to make this shape. So you really wanna make sure you put that coil. But I'm gonna just pat this, and I'm gonna pat this, and you just kind of keep going around and around and around and around, around, and you could get a square. You can also, see how nice this works? Again, it's a little bit wet, so my spoon is kind of sticking, but you can also use your paddle. See how I'm getting those nice little edges? And then paddle this down. Okay, I'm hoping that you're seeing how you get these shapes. Now, you do remember you have to have a hole in this. So let's say I am making, well, let's just say I'm gonna make this panda bear. I don't know if you could see that. So I've kind of got my body now, again, hollow. And let's say I made this a square, but now I want this to be my panda bear's head. So I'm gonna round this. And again, if you don't have a spoon, just kind of round it. And it is hollow, so be careful. Okay, now, I will go into this later, but if I'm going to put this head, let's say I want to put this head on him, I'm going to take my needle tool and I'm going to make a hole right here. Okay? Because the air has to be able to go all the way through. So I made a hole. Now I'm going to make a little hole in this. Hollow, hollow. Then you score, score. Make sure you score that good. Slurry and slurry. Okay, now I'm going to match this hole with that hole so the air can go through, and I'm going to put that little head on. Okay, again, this is not exactly the right shape. Then remember what comes next. The little coil. You guys can fast forward this video anytime you want, or watch whichever parts you want. I'm going to score this. I'm going to make my little coil. If it's too hard to get in, you can always use your needle tool to make the little X's, but usually you could get in here. And you're going to score this. You're going to score this. Then you're going to slurry, slurry, and then you're going to put this little coil on. Okay, that's going to keep his head on. Make sure you put that coil on and dig it in, and then you can smooth this out. And now I'm going to try to help each of you. You're going to show me your creatures, and I'll have a little clay and kind of be able to show you. Okay, now, again, hugely important. I have now sealed up that hole. So again, I'm going to have to make, he's going to have a little mouth so the air can go through. He's got a funny little mouth. You can also, if you don't want to put his mouth on, you can make a hole on the bottom. You just have to have, like if you're like, I don't want that weird little hole up by his mouth. You just have to have a hole. Now the air can go through here because we made a hole there, it goes through there, and then you're gonna spend time making, oh, he's got little ears, score and slurry, his ears on. Score, 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 slurry, ear. Score, 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 slurry, slurry, ear, and oh, your guys' is gonna look so much better than this, but there's kind of the basics with the pinch pot. If you mostly just wanna watch the beginning of this, go ahead and watch that. You can then put little legs on him. You could put a tail on him. You can, I'll show you later, you could put fur. Sometimes we make fur with the scoring rib. He's not very cute, but you get the idea. This is the basic. Then you get to have the fun time of trying to shape his little face. Maybe he's got a snout, and you're gonna wanna shape his little snout down and put his little face in. Maybe you're gonna wanna put little eyes, but now you just have the fun time of sculpting and just using your thumb and blending, okay? Again, I will be I will be showing you individually, depending on what you want to make. The main thing is your pinch pot, when you make it, remember, hands and thumb in the middle, pinch around like a duck. Okay, and don't get this thin. Ooh, that's too thin, that's too thin. Don't do that. You really want it to be, if you cut it in half, this would all be the same size. Let's see, how'd I do? It's not too bad. See, I cut it in half. You want these walls to all be the same thickness, okay? Okay, that's all for today, and I hope yours looks better than this. Yours gonna spend like 3 weeks making this, so you just have the basic structure, and I will be helping you, and there's also YouTubes that you can watch that might be better than mine. Okay, I'll see you later, bye. Forgot, cleanup. That's so important. I decapitated my little guy. So you're going to want to make sure you get all the clay off of this, okay? You can use a paper towel. You could scrape it, make sure you clean this. If this is your mom's wooden spoon, she won't be happy. So get all the clay off. Remember, it can't go down the drain. So scrape it all off. You could scrape it all on your little thing right here as best you can. And then take this over and you dump this in the trash. There's my trash over there. Now you just have little bits of clay on. If it's just barely any, you can wash this under the sink, but barely any, okay? Same thing with this, wipe this down, it gets little crusties. If you use your scraps, if you have another baggie that you can put your scraps in, do that, because if you get it right off this, you don't need to wedge. I will show you how to wedge. This has chunks on it, we're gonna have to wedge that. Then, the bag, so important. Your creature, if you do not wrap him, he will dry out and be ruined. So you're gonna wanna put him in here and wrap him as good as you can. Seal this up. If you have these little guys, I probably only put a few in. These are great, you could put these around. Otherwise, just twist it and kind of set him like this on your board. Don't put your board in the water, it'll ruin it. Then you're gonna wanna make sure when you're done, get your clay and seal this up. Hopefully you have one of those little ties and you could keep the tie that was on your bag. If you don't, just twist it really good, and then I just put it upside down like that. Oh, my dog didn't like that. Okay, ew, that's icky. So again, wipe this out and then take it over to the sink. And then make sure you clean up every day, because usually in class we clean up the last 5 minutes. I'll try to tell you all to do that. And I'll say, okay, time to clean up, and you'll go do cleanup.